Good afternoon to everybody. Can you all hear me? No?
So,
Yes? All right. This is a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is February the 16th of 2022. It is about 6 o'clock. I'm calling this meeting to order, and the first item we have is roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Erasmo Villarreal,
Present.
Jorge Dominguez,
present?
Mike Barron,
Present.
Abraham Lugo,
Present.
Johnny Narvaez, Ms. Wang, present. Larry Dovalina,
Here.
Daniela Sadapaz, Ana Villarreal. For the record, we do have quorum.
All right. I do have Johnny Narvaez. I know called that he will not be able to attend the meeting. He's out of town. And Daniela just texted me that she's stuck in traffic, but she will be here
Okay.
in a few minutes.
I move that we excuse Johnny Narvaez and Ana Gabriel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item, can everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification. The microphones are for the audio, okay? But it's not for the room itself.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it. All right. Next item that we have is consideration of the approval of the minutes of the meeting of February the 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those against? Motion carries. Do we have anybody signed up for citizens' comments?
No, sir.
All right. The next item is public hearing recommendations of an ordinance. Item 6A, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning Lot 1 and part of Lot 2, Block 1696, Eastern Division, located at 2801 East Musser Street, from R3 to B1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have the owner, Griselda Hilera Cisneros. The property location, lot 1, part of lot 2, block 1696, Eastern Division, located at 2801 East Musser Street. Zone changes from R3 to B1. The proposed use is a daycare. Letters sent 23, 4 were against. Letters collected outside the 200 feet radius, against were 3, and none for. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? Yes, ma'am, come on up to the mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Mimi Jackaman. I am a foster parent. I live in the area. I have used Little Kids Services for the last 6 years. It is very convenient. My children attend Killam Elementary. They are picked up by the daycare, taken to the daycare. I pick up. I have never encountered any traffic, any problems. If anything, there's been more than 2 cars in front picking up children. Arkansas is high traffic, but once you turn into the streets, there really isn't much traffic. I really hope that you consider the zone change.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? In favor of the zone change? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Nancy Sanchez. I'm also, my children go there to one of Mrs. Neto's daycare for the past 4 years, I'm sorry. I've never had a problem. and I'm very grateful that she has been very grateful, like in all ways, because of my children. Now one of them is in elementary, and I mean, he hasn't learned a lot, and I believe a daycare is a really like a way to for children to start in their education wise. So yes, I am for the daycare to be rezoned.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change?
Yes, good evening. I was here last time. I do have letters again for you, okay, from, they've been changed a bit, so they are not the same as the return bill. I believe that count that you gave were letters that were submitted online?
They were submitted, I believe, from the past, like these, from the past,
For the past meeting?
from the past meeting, yes.
Oh, from the last meeting. I turned in more than 3 letters against, for the record.
7.
Okay. So, good evening once again. First of all, I just presented the letters from owners that live within the radius of that area. The minutes from the January meeting reflected that our only concern was traffic. We listed more things. The other factors mentioned were irreversible B1 designation, because that will not change if recommended, loss of property values, unsightliness, and loss of curb appeal. You showed the picture of when Dr. Peña was there. This is what it looks like now. Is this what you would want next to your home or in your residence? Number 2, the question is not whether the daycare is viable. It's good. I'm a principal. We rely on daycare centers to pick up our kids, so that's not the question that's at hand right now. So in addition, somebody stated the church was abandoned. It is not. You asked the owner how many parking spaces she had. She said 19. She did not. If she had 19, why did she cross over and speak to the church people to request permission to park in their area? They're already contemplating putting the metal barricades up again that they had to when Dr. Peña was there. So, if this is supposed to be a child daycare center, and you also know that apartments are located in the back, let me tell you of one thing that happened last week. Very disturbing. On February the 10th, a raid was conducted on that property by federal and local enforcement officials. People were placed in custody. There was a stash house there. Never in the 62 years that I've lived in this neighborhood had that ever occurred. Members of the church who were conducting an allowable garage sale as per city ordinance were there. Words they stated to me in describing this event were horrible. Nunca había pasado algo así aquí, qué feo. I am requesting on behalf of all the letters, all the people that signed those letters, and there's plenty of us, that this zone change not occur from a R3 to a B1. Rules, regulations, and ordinances are put into effect for a reason. I am a school principal. If I do not follow rules and regs, I'm either written up or I'm sent home, okay? I expect my teachers to follow rules and regulations. So they're set there for a reason. In this case, changes were made to the building without performing her due diligence in looking for that information, that she could not have that type of property there. I have nothing against her. I do oppose the change. You are sending the wrong message that to this property owner and to all property owners, that if this goes through, even if you allow a conditional use permit, it's sending the wrong message. It's sending the message that we can do what we want and later try to put a Band-Aid on it by allowing this conditional use permit. I am imploring, I am asking, do the right thing. Follow the rules and regs. They were put in action. They were put in place for a reason. Take the right action. Please recommend to City Council that this change not take effect. Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against?
Okay, for the record, I'm Pablo Castillo. I have resided in that zoning for the past 40 years. And this zoning have been not in a very good health. There have been a lot of turmoils. And if we want to put a business where an R3 section is, we're going to create more business. As it is, you know that inflation is going up. Do you know that if we that are in fixed income is going to be affected by that? Because more taxation is going to be like that. And probably if you do not know right now, all the illegals that Biden is bringing to the United States, we have to pay for their education, for their well-being, for the medical records. And that's why we have in this inflation, because of the raise of taxation. And we have, and you people, and the reason I'm doing this, I cannot see you too good because I'm a disabled vet. I cannot hear too good and I cannot see too good. This happened in Vietnam, and I was there fighting the Viet Congs. And when I was there, I said, I have the gun here, fighting this Viet Cong that these people have not done anything to me. And now I'm here doing the same thing. And I'm pleading to you to not do any harm to our neighborhood. We want a peaceful neighborhood. We want a quiet neighborhood. As a matter of fact, most of the people that live there are senior citizens like me. And we wanted to keep it that way. And is it in your power? I know it is in your power because I teach political science. And you have the ability to do what is right to the people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak against?
Good evening. My name is Hilda Garcia, and I'm a property owner there in that area, just crossing the Arkansas Street, second house. And I've known for a long time, as long as I've been living, that that neighborhood where the Ryan's Elementary School is, has always been a long-standing, quiet, beautiful neighborhood. And with the increase of traffic on Arkansas, it's difficult even crossing into the area zone. And it would be a mistake, I feel, to destroy the neighborhood that we once and still supposedly have, which is peaceful. And Ryan School, the elementary school, it is a little problem there. We already have issues with children walking through the houses to cross Arkansas. They throw bottles, trash, say certain things, as children would be in certain times when they're accompanied by their peers. So adding another issue, another business across the street, and already with the church there, it just adds more problems. Why can't we respect what was once beautiful, and it still is, if we just keep it there? There are many other areas where you can have daycare, and we need your support. Hopefully you'll consider, especially those two items. And among those two, I concur with the people that spoke before me about the taxes, about the increment of traffic on Arkansas. And it's a pretty dangerous street. Many parents tend to park on Musser Street because they can't find any more parking space they can't park, they shouldn't, where the church area is. And the daycare supposedly doesn't have enough room to park. So it's pretty dangerous for the children. So I do hope you will consider our request not to permit the daycare. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody else wish to speak against this? If you have anything different to add than what's already been said? Okay. All right. What are the wishes of the commission?
I have a
Question, all right?
You want to close public
Did they
hearing?
start operating as a daycare before applying for the rezone? And did they need a rezone to begin with in order to operate?
My understanding is they have a daycare, but it's further east,
They have a what?
a daycare already. You're asking if they're currently open in this facility?
Yes.
No, no,
What?
no. They're not in there. She has an other location, but it's not this location.
So when they talk about alterations to the building without building permits and things like that, did that occur?
Not that I'm aware. Have you started work on that building? Have you started construction on that building? Si quiere, puedes pasar a-
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Griselda Cisneros. Sí hicimos algunas mejoras al lugar, apropiadas a los colores que yo uso. Pusimos algunos tiles que necesitaban, reemplazamos los toilets, pues varias cosas, sí, pero no fue nada de construcción, vaya. Tuvimos que sacar todo lo que estaba allá adentro porque lo dejaron bastante mal, so tuvimos que sacar todo eso.
I had a question for staff. The last time this came up, I think we had tabled it, if I'm not mistaken, because they were gonna gather information to see if they even needed a zone change. Did that happen, and
So-
the zone change is?
Yes, they do need a zone change, and the applicant has decided to come forward with a zone change.
All right. Thank you. I had a question for staff. The comprehensive plan or the future land use plan recognizes Arkansas as what is the recognition for that area?
A minor arterial.
A minor arterial as far as the roadway, and then the use for that area, like
It is a
mixed use?
high-density residential with a comp plan allows for up to B1 zone.
Okay, so that was part of the future plan for the
Yeah,
area.
it's conforming with the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I had another question for staff. If not a daycare in the current zone right now, what else could be done? Theoretically, there could be just straight up apartments, right?
Yes?
Yes. R3,
Okay.
mobile home.
So in theory, if the owner decided to tear it down and put mobile homes, that would pass.
No, mobile homes, you need an R3 or RMH.
Or
So B1 wouldn't allow mobile homes.
then she
No, no,
could
no.
expand the building to be, she
Oh, in the
could,
current zone, oh, pardon me, I thought in the current zone.
okay, in the current zone,
Yes.
Yeah,
the,
she can,
and I'm bringing this so that everybody could kind of get the bigger picture of what we're dealing with. So we have the option that as it stands right now, theoretically, mobile homes could be moved into the property without any opposition. She could expand and make further apartments and now have more residents that are pouring into that. And that is not even having to ask permission yet.
Correct. She need a building permit, obviously, but as far
Right.
as you're talking zone changes, no, she would.
So my input to this is, that's something that maybe we can all consider, the options. Theoretically, you could have this makeup, or we could have a small business that's more restricted and less permanent as far as random residents. And that's just my thought and my opinion that I wanted to express.
All right. Any other questions for staff?
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Is the apartments in the back, I assume they're in the back, are they gonna continue to operate and the daycare is gonna operate? And if that's the case, is there sufficient parking off-street?
Is there sufficient parking?
That,
Street.
This is, this is a zone case, so a site plan has not been submitted with that.
If I can make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Real quick. One of the biggest problems that I see here is that we have an overflow. If we approve the B1, then they don't even have to bring a building permit.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
For certificate of occupancy.
if they already painted, I drove by, they
But
already
paint
painted
doesn't
us.
require
Paint
building
doesn't
permit.
Let me go ahead and finish real quick.
Sorry.
That's fine, but let me finish. Usually, the business, and I speak for myself in this committee, Mr. Chairman, we look at changing the zone when a business is being welcomed into that area, either by need or by investment. On this particular instance, we have a section of the community that have lived there for many, many years opposing to have a zone change. So if that area was regulated by a doctor's office and it created a problem, and now it has apartments, and we can actually keep it on an R3, and that house be turned into a residence that was actually intended to be from the beginning, I think that would kind of solve the problem for that area and for the residents that have been there for many years. So that was my comment.
I want to add another comment. One of the benefits, or one of the things about having a child care center there is if there is any registered sex offenders, they would have to move because they cannot reside. So these are just options that I'm throwing out there that could happen that we don't know, but at least we have some insight of what is to come. That's all I would say.
I think we've had enough discussion. I think it's time for a motion.
Okay. I move to close the public hearing and go with staff's recommendation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
And a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or by hands. I will vote. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3. Okay, motion carries. All right, next item is amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 0.53 acres comprised of 0.03 acres of tract 1, a 14.78 acres, tract 1, 0.02 acres, tract 4, 1.6 acre easement right-of-way, tract, this is located at West FM 1472 and south of Diesel Road from AG to M1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have the applicant, Donna Gail Wilkinson, which is the owner, from Engineering as the applicant representative. Property location, approximately 0.53 acres, located west of FM 1472 and south of Diesel Road. Zone change request, AG to M1. Proposed use is commercial. Letter sent for, none against, none for. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
All right. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak for the zone change,
Good evening, Commissioners. Eduardo Gutierrez with Premier Engineering, representing the applicant, and we're in favor of the zone change. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Gutierrez? Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change, All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Item 6C, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a planned unit development for townhomes on lot 119F, Block 3, San Isidro Southwest, Antler Crossing Subdivision, Phase 5, located at 1511 San Isidro Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have STX Land Development LLC owner, Ricardo Verde representative. Property description, lot 119F, block 3, San Isidro Southwest Antler Crossing Subdivision, Phase 5, located at 1511 San Isidro Parkway. Zone change, planned unit development for the townhomes. Proposed use, townhomes. Applicant proposes 110 townhome units. Letter sent 4. None against, none for. Planned unit development zone. The amended the PUD ordinance to allow for more creative solutions to address affordable housing needs, elimination of minimum area requirements, clarifying and adjusting alterations permitted, clarifying the site plan approval process, and allowing the P&Z Commission to allow for administrative approval for minor changes by the building official. Elimination of special use permit option for townhouses was never technically permitted as townhouses, are not a use and not allowed by the ordinance governing special use permits. A continuation, we have PUD zones, they're an overlay. Underlining zone is requirement for the application. The following requirements can be varied. We have the presentation of masonry construction, required colors and construction materials certificates, minimum lot, height and setbacks dimensions, fencing and screening types, density, parking, street and sidewalk configuration with approval from the traffic director. We have the PUD site plan, which will be approved by the planning commission. Here we have the location view, the aerial view, the street view, the zoning map, the future land use map. Here we have the site plan of the townhomes. And an addition of the site plan here as well. An addition of that site plan as well. And the recommendation is staff supports. With the addition of the initial staff and technical review board, we have some comments. We have the planning comments. We have engineering and fire comments. We have building and the utilities comments. The continuation of the utility comments. And an addition, did we go back? No. An addition of the utilities department as well. And then here we have traffic comments. And the proposed motion.
So, Mr. Chairman, what you see here, there's a new process of how they're going about the PUD. So, At this time, what's going on is they're bringing the PUD this way. They have to, it has to go through P and Z. It'll go to council. At council, if they get the overlay approval, then they'll go to the one-stop shop and they stay there. This doesn't have a preliminary. They're gonna go to one-stop shop, they stay there until they answer all the issues that the different departments have. Then after they finish that, it'll come back to P and Z. So at this point, right now, they're just showing a design layout. That could change, but the process now, instead of a special use permit, they have to get, approval from city
PUD,
council.
approval, yeah.
Yes.
I get it. Okay, before, we start the hearing, I do have a question for the traffic engineer.
Traffic. There he is.
Good evening, Robert Peña, Traffic Safety Department. How can I help?
Robert, the question that I have for you is this, this area is developing, obviously they're asking for a PUD. Property right next door is doing something very similar. So we have a lot of density coming into this area, okay? The capacity of your streets and roads, can they handle everything that's coming in?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they can.
Okay,
We're familiar with the development.
that's what I wanted to know. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Peña?
But Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, when they come back through for the.
No, I know.
the
I
site
know what the
plan,
process
they'll
is.
get another look
It was
at
just something that I wanted to, I mean, it would be horrible to take them through the process and then at the end tell them, hey, guess what? No, I mean, no. Okay, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the PUD?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Ricardo Villarreal with Topside Civil Group, representing the client. Do have just, since this is a new process, just some clarifications, basically. I have spoken to staff earlier, but I do want to put it on record on some of these clarifications, so that we're all on the same page, not only the client, but planning department, but the rest of the departments as well that have given certain comments. But the first one is just, I think it's a typo on the first paragraph here. The property is in the process of becoming a B1. I think our zone changes for a B3, which you mentioned it before in your prelude, but it's just a small typo there. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to put my attention to staff here, just because, like I said, this is my first one. It's a brand new thing that the city of Laredo is implementing. But we are coming back with a site plan approval when we submit the preliminary plat. Why are we submitting a preliminary plat? Each one of these townhomes is going to be on its independent lot. It is going to be a private development. However, due to financial obligations with lenders and with borrowers, having these as individual lots allows them to get either better rates or get approved for their loans. So when we come back with the plat, we will come back with the site plan, as the city of Laredo has given some preliminary comments on there. So we'll try to address all of them. For instance, fire, there are 2 exits, one on the north side and one on the west side. However, there are some comments in there that I'm glad, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned something could be detrimental to the project, mainly on the utility end. I know that we still have several steps that we need to take, get the PUD approved first by city council, then come back with our site plan and our preliminary plat approval. But I'm actually glad that we got preliminary comments from the review board here, because it does allow us to kind of go back to each individual department and say, hey, wait a minute, if some of these comments are gonna be, I guess, set in stone, it could be detrimental to the project. I'm gonna go ahead and say some of them in detail. The utilities comments mention 2 separate PUDs, 119E and 119F. We're 119F on this PUD. it just so happens, timing-wise, luck of the draw, my colleague Oscar Castillo behind me submitted a PUD right next to us. And he's probably up next in a couple of item. But they've kind of intertwined comments, basically saying we need to reroute lines and we need to reroute them through another lot, through a different owner, that if right now we just so happen to be on the same time frame with the PUD process, but as far as civil work and the civil process, development, construction, we can be on completely different timeframes. So if these are set in stone, number one, it delays one or the other or both. Second, the original plat that we're doing here, these lots just got recorded in December. That recordation has underlying public improvements on there. Those underlying public improvements have gotten approved by the city already. They're gonna be constructed, if not already under construction. We're tying into those improvements. These comments have us rerouting those improvements. So it really is something that we know we take care of the one-stop shop, but are these comments here, and speaking to staff, they're not, I guess they're not part of the PUD process approval. However, they have been put here for a reason. And so we just want to make sure that we clarify this, that once we get 3 months into it and we submit to One Stop Shop, hey, I told you to reroute that sewer line, and we're like, wait a minute, that's a big problem here. So I don't know how to address this. I guess I'll defer to you, to the planning department, and to kind of get a guideline of how we can do this.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a new process. So what we've done is we've asked all the departments to sit with the engineer and go over this so that we're all on the same page as far as what's going on here. A lot of these comments were given based on just an aerial view. They never really spoke to the engineer or anything like that. We understand that. And there needs to be clarification because they made these comments with very little information.
Yeah, I get that, but I can also see from the engineer's point of view, we can give you a PUD approval. But then as you go to the next step, if what you're reading here becomes an issue, well, we went through an exercise for nothing. So is the process, this new one, is it, something we need to revisit? Because I don't see, going through this exercise and saying, yeah, we'll recommend the approval of the PUD, but you still have to come back, you gotta be, site specific as to what you're gonna do. The comments that were given ahead were, I guess, really God sent, because if they were not been placed here, it's an easy process, it's approval. When you come back with it, then it's like, well, now it's not feasible.
I'm just worried about getting to that point 2
Yeah.
months ahead,
I mean-
and them and the department saying, hey, I put that comment at the very beginning
Yeah.
for a reason. Now, however, I do understand that we can probably deal with this process at that time, but just with being on the record, that it's an understanding that, number one, these comments aren't part of the PUD approval, but number two, they are literally floating in the air. They can change not only from what they say, but from something completely different, just from, the simple logistical procedures of it even working. And number two, it just so happens that maybe we're putting in comments because we have two PUDs coming in together, but that are completely different owners, completely different people. And so I just want to put that on record that I'm being asked to do something through their lot, and I have nothing to do with them. And so that's just something that, on record, I'll deal with it in the future. I'm glad that we got these comments. I think it's actually a very good idea, because it gives me an idea that tomorrow I need to be making some phone calls, right? Because this can stop in its tracks right away. But other than that, since it's a new process, it's mainly just making comments, basically. Not even comments. It's not a rebuttal. It's not anything. It's more discussion in open air. Make sure everybody knows the way we're thinking.
Yeah, but at this point, you are in favor of the PUD going forward.
Yeah, we are in favor of the PUD going forward, yes, sir.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Villarreal?
Just a comment real quick, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Villarreal. I understand exactly what you're saying, but we're just gonna go on the zone change, and those comments, if they were to apply in the future, you still have the chance not to do your project. Now, the zone change is the one that is gonna initiate your PUD, see? So I guess that us trying to delete or deny any of the comments, they don't really apply right now. We're just going for the zone change.
Correct.
So
That's all we can do.
that's
Cor-
what
cor-
we can do right now.
Yeah, no, correct, and after discussions with the planning department, I think we're all okay with that. But unfortunately, the one-stop shop process isn't here. And this other process isn't here, so to protect, I guess,
Well,
the
basically what-
procedures in the future, I gotta make sure that I mention it here.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that it doesn't
basically,
come back.
all you're getting here
Yeah.
is an authorization, okay, you have a PUD concept,
Yeah,
we're okay with it, go forth with it, now you gotta work out the details and see if your PUD concept still is viable to go forth.
Correct.
That's basically what
Yes.
this is. You had a comment or a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm sorry, 'cause I'm trying to remember the old ordinance and now it's changed, so forgive me for that. But previously, this is an 11-acre tract, and before, for multifamily, you needed at least 20 acres or 15 acres. So that's reducing the density, which I'm sure now there's reasons for that. Maybe not enough people were applying for PUDs or doing that, but, and then I see 100 and something.
110.
110 townhomes in a 11-acre tract, so I don't know if that's the reason why now utilities needs to do something different. So they're saying there was another plat before this here?
correct.
How many lots were there on that plat?
So these lots were before, the original tract, which was 110 acres, was where the old mall was gonna be back in 2006, 7, 8. Once 2008 hit, economy went down, that kind of got scrapped. The development came back for a rezone, so out of those 110, estimation-wise, probably about 70 to 80 acres became residential. Within that residential development, water and sewer master plans were submitted, right? A water line was rerouted along San Isidro through the back end of the residential, which now loops through the back end on the west end and loops all the way around into Springfield, into San Isidro. That's a 12-inch line. This 8-inch line ties into a 12-inch line along the detention ponds. Confidence-wise, do I feel confident that we have enough capacity? Yes. I don't see any of that. It's the logistical purposes. Now, this lot specifically was a B4 commercial lot. However, the way you look at it, B4, you can have a hotel. So we say commercial, but I can come and put a hotel in a B4 and that pops my usage up. So compare apples to apples, I can have a 110-room hotel on a B4. So is there necessarily a change? Depends on the way you look at it, right?
Now-
But we'll definitely work with the utilities department.
Now,
on
my
that.
next question is, the purpose of a planned unit development, from what I saw here, was that it's for design considerations or topographical features, or, it seems like whenever there's an issue with the land that cannot develop on its own, like what considerations are being done here that a PUD is needed?
So,
Lot size.
Lot size.
Lot sizes.
Yeah, for townhomes, R2 is, what is it, 6,000 square feet?
Yeah, So it's the
to have
reduction
the
of those
smaller
lot
lots,
size,
You
right.
need a mechanism.
and it's easier to get people to buy these homes.
Well,
Financing.
PUD is the only way
Financing.
to go through for townhomes.
Okay.
Affordable housing.
Now, affordable housing in the north side. Now, traffic plans were asked before in PUDs, that we'll see later, because it mentioned something about the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Depending on if the traffic department wants them, it goes through the site plan process.
Are those things still in play? I know parkland credits, are those still in play?
Yeah.
Yes? And, street lighting, and it also mentioned, landscape plans that this commission would look at?
Yeah, that, all we're doing right now is gonna give either an approval or a denial to a concept of a planned unit development. They need to then come back, after this goes to council for authorization, with a site-specific on how he's gonna develop that property,
Right.
which includes everything within the land development code
Okay.
that is required.
Now, it's kind of confusing because in my packet, and it was confusing to me as well, so, in my packet, I included a site plan, I included a floor plan, you know, so you're kind of getting a pre-glimpse of what's to come.
Okay.
Right? Now, there's still tweaks, and that's why I like the comments, because I can tweak the comment from fire, I can tweak the comment from building on having queuing and all that. And so when I come back to you all, we don't run that gauntlet twice. So, but just for the record, and this question is mainly for planning, when I come back for the site plan approval, it just gets approved by the commission. It's not a public hearing anymore. It doesn't go to city council. It basically gets piggybacked off of my plat.
It doesn't go to council, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah, just stops with them.
okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of this PUD? Anybody who wishes to speak against a PUD? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Move to approve.
We have a motion? And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Next item, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning lot 19F, block 3, San Isidro Southwest. Phase 5, located at 1511 San Isidro, from a B4 to a B3. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor of the zone change?
You can read this?
Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change, against the zone change?
Sorry. I was fumbling through my papers. Just to, Ricardo Villarreal, with Topside Civil Group, representing the client. This is just the zone that we need to rezone it to. Same comments on the previous one, and, I'm in favor of the zone change. Yes.
All right. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against? All right, what are the wishes of the commission? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the zone change, signify. All those against, motion carries. Next item, amending zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit for a financial services CPA on lot 23, block 2, Del Mar Hills, section 1, area B, located at number 1 Candlewood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Rio Grande Rancho Properties LLC owner. We have Gilbert Garcia Cano, applicant, and Ricardo Ramos as the representative. Property location, lot 23, block 2, Del Mar Hills Subdivision, section 1, area B, located at 1 Candlewood Road. Zone change request is the conditional use permit. Proposed use, the office for certified public accountant. Letters sent 12, none for, none against. We have the location view. The aerial view. Street view. Survey map. The future land use map. We have the site plan. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, in favor?
Good evening. My name is Ricardo Ramos, and I represent the client. And we reviewed the comments, and we agree with the staff recommendation with comments.
Okay. Any questions from the commission for Mr. Ramos?
Lo que yo veo, mi pregunta es cuáles van a ser sus peak hours, porque por ahí es la entrada al kinder de Mary Hill y es en donde circula para entrar y salen por Springfield. Y es a las 7 de la mañana. Bueno, esa no te va a afectar, ¿verdad? Entre 8 de la mañana, pero la otra es a las 2, 3 de la tarde. y no sé si hay cupo para estacionamiento. En la carta dice que son 7 espacios. We will need about 7 parking spaces for employees and clients, dice. ¿Se van a estacionar dentro de la propiedad o en la calle?
No, es dentro de la propiedad.
Dentro de la
Sí.
propiedad.
Sí, y es una CPA office, so no es como
No
si
tiene mucho
siempre
volumen.
vienen los clientes.
Sí.
Es más por teléfono y todo, pero de cada cuando sí viene un cliente y lo citan, ¿verdad? Pero no es... Y también él compró el lote enseguida también él.
Ok.
So sí tiene suficiente área ahí para lo que va
A
a
lo
hacer.
mejor para él en un futuro va a ser
El
incómodo.
solar enseguida, ¿por cuál lado?
El lado de Candlewood.
But it looks like you're gonna pave everything that's
Yes,
already
in the
grass.
front. Yes. Yes, we have to, because we have to meet the parking lot requirements.
Porque aquí le falta.
All right? Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Ramos? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? Anybody else who wishes to speak against this particular issuance of a conditional use permit?
Good evening. My name is Richard Dabdu, and my wife and I have lived at 7 Candlewood Road for 39 years. Even though we are not opposed to it, we do not support it for the conditional permit. We have concerns with traffic and off-street parking on that particular intersection she just mentioned right now. We'd like to request a no parking signs on both sides of that particular intersection to prevent accidents from people who are turning onto Candlewood Road from Del Mar. We want to also remind you that the street is also being used, as was mentioned earlier, as an entrance to and an exit from Mary Helper Christian School. So with that, we ask that if you do approve it, with a condition that there is no parking in that particular corner, as you can see from his clients that come to see him, because maybe it's just too much trouble to park inside that very limited entrance and exit for them.
Well, first of all, I think he has to provide 7 parking spaces inside the property.
Correct.
You cannot service that property by people parking on the street, okay? The business must provide parking inside the property for their clients.
Correct.
That is the ordinance.
Correct. On the other hand, his clients that come, they find it easier to park across the street where there is a sidewalk, am I correct? And or in front as an easy access just to get in, get out, rather than, I don't know if you've seen that, getting in through there and then going all the way around and parking and then exiting. I don't know, I see myself trying to back out of a parking spot all the way back to get out, because there's really no, I don't think there's any way for you to be turning your vehicle around. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it works for them. But what I'm just saying is, so that the clients don't say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to be in there a few
Yeah.
minutes, I'm going to, no parking. And I'm saying that because if necessary, we need to call someone to come and cite someone or something for, because I'm concerned, because sometimes when we turn in, there's traffic coming down
Makes sense.
from Del Mar, the light turns green, I don't know, the following block, and you kind of have so much time to turn, and if you have a vehicle parked on both sides, and then you have people coming out of Mary Help or something, it can prevent a really, really serious situation. And I just want to make sure that he understands that, you know, that intersection it is trafficked when we turn. We'll make sure we don't have a problem with it. That's all. And I say the no parking is to let his clients know, no parking, okay? You park inside his parking, which is what he's done, he's provided for it. That's all, that's what I'm here to state that concern. Either to oppose or to recommend it. It's just that it's included in the condition if it is allowed.
So, Mr. Chairman, we received Mr. Dabdu.
Correct.
Mr. Dabdu's comments, and we did forward them to the traffic director for review.
Okay.
Okay?
Get it forward.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak against the particular conditional use permit? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Bob Ruskowski. I've never been to one of these, so please excuse me. I live right behind that house. I live off of Bennington, and I can actually see that property, you know, from my backyard. My parents bought the house back in 1972, and it was a great neighborhood, was nice and quiet, and I know things change. And I've slowly seen Del Mar Boulevard, houses being knocked down and turned into office buildings. And this is residential. We want to keep it quiet. And, I mean, I don't think CPAs are pretty loud, but some of them could be. The thing that I also bring up is the parking issue. Once you make arrangements to have parking, you know, made in front of that house, it's going to be hard to change it back into a house. So when that tenant leaves, what's going to happen with everything that was changed, you know, to make it a business?
To make it a business when?
To make it back
Or to make it a residential again?
Well, I mean, the process we're doing right now is trying to go to a business.
Right.
But when that tenant leaves, does it go back to a residential? Okay, when it goes back to a residential, what happens with everything that they put in? Because I already know what's gonna happen. As soon as you let one come in, then the next tenant they're gonna have is a commercial tenant. And it's just like that property that's right across from the swimming pool. You know, it was a house, now it's a cafe, law firm. And then look at over, further down by the fire station. You know, they built that huge building out there, and honestly, to me, I think it's an eyesore, because I remember seeing those houses there. I mean, I grew up in this neighborhood. Sure. And I'm against this mainly because if it's a business that wants to do a CPA, they can go into a business area, not start using residential area because it's cheaper. But then they're taking our neighborhood away from us. And this is what starts the problem. I mean, I really don't want to see it go that way. And looking at the way the property is set up, I don't think it's a good idea to be there, because there is a lot of traffic on Del Mar. The street before is Bennington, and off that light, you got people coming in 40, 50 miles an hour. And I mean, just today on Bennington, I had to dodge a school bus. He was about to run me over, and he was flying through my street. It's only 1 block long. And I believe that, you know, like when Mary Help gets out, I know there's a lot of traffic. I know it gets very congested. And being a residential area, I don't think it's a good idea.
All right, sir.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Comment? Anybody else who wishes to speak against? Against? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Well, again, this is, for you guys that were here speaking right now, we only make a recommendation. You still have to go to city council, and they're the ones who make the final say-so. Again, ours is a recommendation that goes to council, so you still have a little bit more to go after this process. Make a motion to close the public hearing and support staff's recommendation.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Next item, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit for an amusement redemption machine establishment on Lot 1A, Block 1, Rancho Verde project located at 9652 McPherson Road, Suite 100.
Mr. Chairman, based on a technicality, I'd like to remove this from, or just not take action on this. We're gonna have to review this. but-
Table it?
Table it. You can call it tabling.
All right, I have a motion to table,
But it's,
If I can make a comment before we act.
all right?
Mr. Chairman, we cannot table it because this item is not supposed to be before us.
right, you don't have the
Wait a minute,
authority
but
to make
the
this.
problem is this, it's been posted. And once you post something, you gotta take some kind of action. So
we can-
tabling would be the only appropriate action.
We can, it is on a comment. We can deny it based on the fact that the ordinance actually exists and denies a CUP. So that would be, there's an ordinance
Yeah.
created by the mayor that was.
By the mayor?
Well, it was
City
not
council.
created by him,
By the
you
city
know,
council.
he was actually requested, trying to avoid all the problem with the maquinitas. So, I'll go ahead and ask Vanessa to really explain what it is.
Well, first of all, right now, I don't think we need to get into it because, I mean, this is not gonna go forth anywhere.
Correct.
And so we just need a motion to table this because it was a posted item. And it gotta have some kind of action to table in it for future.
Then I'll make a motion to deny it.
Well, okay. We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, show of hands. All right, motion fails. All right,
Motion to table.
motion to table
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion, one. Two. Motion carries. Table. All right, next item that we have is amending the zoning, map of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 10.71 acres. Set to be tract of land to contain 10.16 acres conveyed to Killam Development. This property is located north of Clark Boulevard and west of Bob Bullock Loop, from B3 to B4. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Killam Development LTD owner, Cliff Killam applicant, and Rolando Ortiz, the representative. Property location approximately 10.17 acres located north of Clark Boulevard and west of Bob Bullock Loop. Zone change is B3 to B4. Proposed use is commercial school kitchen. Letter sent 714, none against. Here we have the location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor of the zone change?
Good evening, my name is Rolando Ortiz for the record. Chairman, commissioners, staff, I represent Killam Development, and we're in favor of the zone change.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'm gonna abstain from this.
And one abstention. All right, motion carries. Next item is the amending of the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a special use permit for a mini storage warehouse on Lot 1, Block 1, Lago del Mar Subdivision, Unit 16, located at 2519 East Del Mar Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Store All LTD, Del Mar Mini Storage owner. We have Howland Engineering, which is the applicant and representative. We have property location, Lot 1, Block 1, Lago del Mar Subdivision, Unit 16, located at 2519 East Del Mar Boulevard. Zone change is a special use permit. Proposed use is a mini storage warehouse. Letter sent 14, none for, none against. Here we have the location view, aerial view, street view, zoning map, future land use map, site plan, and the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
All right. All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the special use permit?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, staff, members of the commission. My name is Miguel Jimenez, here representing our client with Howland Engineering. And here just to say that we're in favor of the conditional use permit.
Special use.
Special use permit, sorry, yes. And to answer any questions you guys have.
All right, anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the special use permit? Anybody who wishes to speak against the special use permit? Against the special use permit? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Move to approve subject to the condition.
We have a motion. And we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion carried. One abstention? Motion carries. Next item. Amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 14.98 acres of land made up of 9.98 acre tract of land conveyed to 101 Imperial Partners LP described in the deed. What else have we got? This property's going from, let's see, location is south of Monarch Boulevard and Laredo Loop and north of Shiloh Drive from R2 and B3 to R1B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Applicant is SKG Homes. Owner, Oscar Castillo, Bell Consulting is the applicant and representative. The property description, location is approximately 14.98 acres of tract land south of Monaco Boulevard and Lorado Loop, north of Shiloh Drive. Zone change request, R2 and B3 to an R1B. The proposed use is a single-family, high-density residential. Letters sent, 39, 4, 0, against 0. Location, aerial map, street view, zoning map, future land use map, staff recommendation, staff supports the proposed zone change.
Can you go back
Can you
to
back
the
to the
aerial
aerial?
view?
Yes, of course.
To the street view?
To the street.
Oh, street view, yes.
Are you trying to figure out where it is?
Where it is.
Okay,
It's-
go ahead.
I'm sorry. It is located behind the variety meats on Shiloh, where the old TKOs used to be.
Or the what?
Old TKO,
That choice of building.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
So-
But
so you-
it's right there in that placita, that street, North Creek.
Do you know where Swisher Martin's office is on McPherson? The apartments behind them? Those are the apartments right there on your right.
Ahí
And
no
if
están los Shiloh Trails.
Yeah,
Shiloh Trails is right at the end of the project.
yeah.
It's right at the end on the left. And just out of the picture is Whataburger, the corner of Shiloh and McPherson. It's just off that picture, just a little bit.
Okay.
But those are the bike trails. If you were to, if you could see the bottom, it says Livingston? Is that what the street
Yeah.
name is? That's the entrance to the bike trails right there, Livingston Street. And then you would I know you're familiar with the biking there, so
Yeah, sir,
you would go
but-
left.
But this won't affect
But
those
it
trails.
won't
No,
affect them?
no, this is off to the east of that.
That's what I thought, por lo que estaba viendo. Porque entras por aquí.
If I can continue, Mr. Chairman? And the proposed motion.
Ahorita le preguntamos a-
All right. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Oscar Castillo from Pewa Consulting and representing the client. And we are for the zone change and here to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Castillo? Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor of the zone change?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a public apology. Mr. Castillo and I had an issue on some information was brought to the table. I incorrectly told him that he could not submit, and I just want to publicly apologize for that. It was my mistake, so I just wanted to say that here. So, fair is fair.
Okay.
Fair is fair.
Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change, against the zone change? All right, wishes of the commission?
Move to approve.
Motion? Do we have a second? Second. And we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Next item, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning lot 119E, Block 3, San Isidro Southwest Standard Crossing Subdivision Phase 5, located at 1557 San Isidro.
Ya, les dieron los micros.
There we go.
La vez
San
pasada
Isidro
pasaron-
Parkway from B4 to R2 multifamily. This is a public hearing. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, applicant is San Isidro Southwest. They're the owner. Oscar Castillo. Sorry, for the record, it's SKG, not San Isidro Southwest. My apologies. SKG is the owner. Oscar Castillo with Bell Consulting is the applicant and the representative. The property description is lot 119E, block 3, San Isidro Southwest Answer Crossing, Subdivision, Phase 5, located at 1557 San Isidro Parkway. The zone change request is a B4 to an R2. The proposed use is a multifamily residential. 16 letters were sent out, 0 for, 0 against. Here is the location. This is area view, street view,
Casa normal.
zoning map, future land use map. Staff recommendation, the staff supports the proposed zone change. And the proposed motion.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor?
My name is Oscar Castillo with Peva Consulting, representing the client. We're for the zone change and here to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions?
Tengo preguntas.
Yes.
Van a ser, es el que está al lado
Sí.
del de Ricardo,
Así es.
¿ok? El de Ricardo era una cosa y el tuyo va a ser casas o qué va?
Van a ser duplexes, van a ser
ok.
townhomes,
Townhomes,
pero
pegados.
sí, ujú,
¿Cuántas?
en dos.
Ah, es que no lo veo.
¿Perdón?
80.
Ah, es que está chiquitito.
148. Ahorita está el 148 unidades
O sea,
en 15
74,
acres.
74 duplex.
Así es, así es.
O sea, pero como van a ser duplex, por eso le digo,
No son duplexes.
no son,
You can't have duplexes on anything less than a 6,000 square foot lot.
por eso pregunto.
So these are
They're
townhomes.
townhomes.
They're
They're not
townhomes.
duplexes. They can't
They're
be.
Even though it's gonna be in
They're
two
individual,
installments.
individual
Porque aquí
lots.
dice
That's correct.
duplex.
They
not
cannot.
La verdad es que
Duplex
hubo
can only
una
be on a 6,000 square
confusión
foot lot
de
with two different
cómo
dwellings.
nombrarlas, pero son townhomes.
These are townhomes. That's
Correct.
what they are. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the land development code also notes that defines townhomes as 3 or more attached. I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Duplexes, there's 2.
Yeah, but duplexes are not allowed unless they're 6,000 square feet.
correct.
So
That's why
it's
he's
it's a
gonna have
semantics that we're talking about here. Really,
Sí.
he's doing townhomes, individual lots,
Correct.
and, you know, it's gotta be townhomes as opposed to
Right.
the duplexes.
Exacto. Y
Okay.
también you're applying for a PUD.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against? Against? All right? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. The next item, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by authorizing the issuance of a plan unit development for townhomes on lot 119E, Block 3, San Isidro Southwest, Phase 5 located at 1557 San Isidro. This is a public hearing for the issuance of a plan unit development. Anybody wish to speak in favor?
Commissioners, staff, Chairman, Oscar Castillo, for the record, Paywa Consulting, representing the client, and we are for the PUD. And just as my colleague Ricardo Villarreal mentioned, just wanted to clarify that even though there's comments there, they're not, this approval doesn't mean that we're concurring with those comments. Those are like preliminary comments, and we're for the PUD, and at the same time, like he said, we appreciate the comments, because then we can start looking at
Addressing
things and addressing a few things, but just wanted also to clarify that for the record.
Okay, all right. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
I'd like to support staff's recommendation.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. The next item is amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning lots 119A, 119B, 119C, Block 3, San Isidro Southwest, Phase 5, located at 9880, 9820, and 9814 Springfield Avenue, from B4 to B3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, the applicant is San Isidro Southwest, owner. Oscar Castillo, Paywa Consulting is the applicant representative. Property description, lots 119A, 119B, 119C, Block 3, San Isidro Southwest Anchors Crossing Subdivision, Phase 5, located at 9880, 9820, 9814 Springfield Avenue, respectively. Zone change request, a B4 to a B3. Proposed use, community business. Applicant has not identified a specific proposed use. Letters sent, 3, 4, 0 against 0. Location, aerial, street view, zoning map, future land use map. Staff recommendations, staff supports the proposed zone change. Proposed motion.
All right, thank you. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change, in favor?
Oscar Castillo, Paywa Consulting, represent the client, and we're for the zone change and here to answer any questions.
All right,
Just a quick comment, there was that sliver of property that's on one side, on the south
Springfield?
side. We'll have to talk about that, see how you're gonna incorporate it into the property, because I don't know who it belongs to.
Okay, It is part of 119E.
119E,
E.
so, okay.
Okay. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? In favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change? All right. Wishes of the commission?
Move to approve and, move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Yeah, that's both ways. Item, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by amending, ordinance, 2014-0-88, authorizing a special use permit for townhomes on, lot 50, 51, 52, and 53, Block 1, Escondido Townhome Subdivision located at 5619, 5701, 5703, and 5705 Monte Vista Drive, in order to remove the garage requirement and adjust the side yard setback.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, applicant is Paul C. Arthur, owner. Oscar Castillo, Federal Consulting is the applicant representative. The property description, lots 50, 51, 52, and 53. Block 1, Escondido Townhome Subdivision, located at 5619, 5701, 5703, 5705 Monte Vista Drive, respectively. The zone change request is actually an amendment for a special use permit. The proposed use, multifamily residential townhouses. Letter sent, 134. For is 0, against 0. Location, aerial map. Street view. Zoning map. Future land use map. Staff recommendation, staff does not support the proposed SUP amendment.
Okay. All right, before we get started, I have,
Proposed motion?
okay. I have a question. In the ordinance that you all send us, it specifically states a special use permit is restricted to site plan exhibit A, which is made part of herein. So this is an ordinance.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
you would have to rescind this ordinance first.
No,
And
well,
you'd
the-
have to change to a new special use permit because you're making changes to this particular ordinance.
The amendment would change that ordinance. To change an ordinance, you have to enact another
The only
ordinance. So this
people,
is
The only one that
the
can do
only
it is the
one
council.
that can change an ordinance or amend it is the city council.
Yeah,
That's correct, through an ordinance.
yeah.
And
Through
so
an
this
ordinance.
would be an ordinance that would amend the previous ordinance.
No, you can't pass an ordinance at this table.
No, not here. No,
No.
absolutely, you're right.
So the item really belongs to the city council.
Well, this is an amendment to a special use permit, and it happens through an
Right.
ordinance that has to go through you to get a recommendation.
Then it goes to council. Ultimately, council will have the final. You are correct.
No entendí. Me confundí.
This is very interesting, because, it's a unique situation here, I guess. You have an existing ordinance that is approved by the city council, and you want to amend this ordinance from here, recommending that we amend the special use permit.
This ordinance would amend
Amend.
the original special use permit,
It's
not the code.
What you're asking us to do is, yeah, go through this issue and send a recommendation.
To amend the special use permit ordinance that
Yes.
approves the townhouse.
Okay. All right.
Or not.
You're asking this body to against an ordinance that was approved by council.
The ordinance approved by council,
Don't go past that. You're asking this body to recommend to go against an ordinance that was approved by council.
no, it's to
Yes, you
recommend
are.
against the amendment of the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, they're asking us not to, they don't support
The amendment.
the SUP amendment.
Okay.
The question is whether it should be here or not.
Yeah.
And it's already been, like the previous item that's been posted, and it was already placed on the agenda, so we have to take action on it.
Yeah.
That's right.
If we were to make any change to subdivision ordinance, the process is we have to go through P and Z first. We can't just go straight to council. We must come to you all first. So in essence, we're doing the same thing here. We're making a recommendation, but it must come through you first, and then we can take it to council.
Okay. All right, so this is a public hearing. So anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the change to the special use permit?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners and staff. Oscar Castillo for the record, representing the client, and we're for the amendment and here to answer any questions and that you may have.
Tell you what, why don't you do this with the council, the commission? Go ahead and tell us what was approved and what your changes are from what was approved, so that everybody here has a easier
Absolutely.
understanding of what you're doing.
There were 76 lots approved at the beginning. These are the last four. These 4 lots have, they're on an angle where they are very small. They're smaller than the rest of them. And they have 2 easements, a 15-foot utility easement and a 20 drainage easement on the back. So we're trying to, so the buildable area is very small. So what we're trying to do is what was approved for the garage, use it for buildable area, and to so that this subdivision can be finalized. And we consulted with planning with department, and they said, well, you need to do an amendment of those 4 lots, and what we're asking is 2 things: is to remove the garage from the requirement of these 4 lots, and the setback, the side setback is the only one that we're changing from 5 to 3, and the front setback remains the same, and the back is where the easements are, so that remains the same also.
¿Dónde se van a estacionar si vas a quitar el garaje?
Ahorita estamos proponiendo tener los 12 carros en, sí, como, así es.
The original ordinance is in your packet if you.
Yeah.
Sí, sí, ya lo vi.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Castillo? Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak?
Council, my name's Lance Price. I'm the Division President for Westwind Homes. I represent the builder and the developer. Basically, you guys have approved this SUP a few years back. We've amended it to the side setbacks you guys have seeing right now. Basically, we got to the end of the development. We got 4 home sites left for these townhomes built on, and they won't fit. So we've had to go in and to adjust the product. We've had to go from a 3-bedroom, 1-car garage townhome, basically to a 2-bedroom townhome with no garage to make it fit. So we've doubled up the parking lot to fit the parking requirements, but it won't fit the SUP, so we need to amend the SUP to be able to build these last 4 home sites out to get folks in these homes.
Okay. So basically, Lance, you're just deleting the garage requirement in the other SUP. There is a 5 to 3 side setback. And you're basically eliminating 3 bedrooms.
Right, so we're going to a 2-bedroom unit. We've done some stuff in there before, so the houses are very close together, right? They're only 3 foot, basically they're 6 foot apart. So the exterior walls are made out of a hardy fiber that's fireproof. I think you and I have talked about this before with the fire department. So everything is fireproof. The fascia and soffit are also hardy backer, so there's no fire issue there. That's why those things are 6 foot apart.
All right, let me, go ahead.
So reducing that third bedroom now to 2 will allow that one space per bedroom that's needed, and they fit within the plan, the site plan?
Right, exactly. They fit inside the buildable area. Correct.
Okay, I have a question for Oscar. Let me ask Oscar a quick
On
question.
up, Oscar.
Oscar, the layout that you're proposing right now, 15-foot requirement on the front setback, then you have a sidewalk, I imagine, in front of that? Or
We
is
have-
there, from the street, back a curb to
From the back of curb
the property line is how many feet?
9.5.
Okay.
And then we have 15.
Okay. So your sidewalk is gonna basically hug back a curb?
Correct.
12-footer.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Anybody else have any questions?
Just really quick, because when it identified it identified the whole area, I'm trying to find out where the 4 lots are on the,
In this corner.
Can you put up the, right here?
those right there. That's the last of the development?
Yeah, that's, everything else is built out except those last 4.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, anybody else have any questions?
I'm here with that. I think, Mr. Chairman, that those, if those 4 lots don't get developed, they're gonna be an eyesore for
Yeah, I
that
agree.
subdivision.
I agree.
So, whenever you close the public hearing,
Okay.
I'm ready to make a motion.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? Anybody who wishes to speak against? Yes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. We've been trying to do something about it. I'm a resident on Monte Vista for the past.
Can we have your name for the record, please?
My name is Leslie Perez.
Okay, thank you.
I've been a resident on Escondido for the past 3.5 years. When I first purchased my townhome, there were no townhomes to my right. So I didn't see any issues. I saw that the street was a little bit small, but I thought, no, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. As soon as they started building to the right, it's a very narrow street, very narrow. You would have porta potties on my curb, tilted porta potties. The lot in front of mine, it was basically a dumpster for debris. Many times I would find glass, carpet thrown on my driveway. Like, the air would push it all the way to my driveway. We have a really small trail behind the apartment or the townhomes in front of mine. Building in that small cul-de-sac will basically block the entrance of the trail at the end of the cul-de-sac. We brought up the issue in one of the HOA meetings, and we were told that December was going to be the last month for construction, and that the HOA would be handed to us. So we would try to address cleaning, certain situations that have occurred that nobody took care of.
May I have your attention, please? The Laredo Public Library will be closing in 30 minutes. If you have any items you wish to borrow, please bring them to the circulation desk at this time.
Okay, well,
Again, the library will be closing. Thank you.
we have to take into consideration that there's only one entry point to the subdivision. There's not 2. That street, Monte Vista, it's a dead-end street. It's a super small cul-de-sac where most of my neighbors that have 2 vehicles park. So itself already, it's packed. There's a high influx of vehicles. Like the traffic, it's incredibly high to the point that I had to change my room to the one in the back because of the noise. Needless to say, there's a lot of law enforcement residents that, they have different shifts, and the noise, people come in and out at 5, 4, 3 a.m. The sense of safety in our community has definitely left us. People coming in and out at any time of the day, construction workers. There was paraphernalia, like drug paraphernalia items found on the trail. Kids are no longer going out and playing. The street is super small to the point that you cannot walk your dog on your sidewalk without worrying being run over by the car that it's passing by. There's no sufficient lighting. And this has obviously caused some type of animosity towards the neighbors, which is pretty sad. Having to wake up somebody in the morning at 5 a.m. and tell them, can you please move your car because there's no way I'm gonna make it to work. It's become an issue in our community. And we brought it up multiple times and nobody does anything about it. A lot of people have left their homes and ended up selling them because of that same issue. Nothing was ever done. Lately, what the residents have opted to do is call the cops. And they have towed vehicles because we complain. And as much as we are a very close-knit community, we have to call the cops. It's 7 in the morning. I'm not gonna go knocking door on door and asking whose car is this. You know, it's impossible. It's not doable.
Ma'am, for clarification, I have Ms. Laura over there. Can you point at the lots in question
Yes.
where they're gonna build, please?
She's gonna put him out for us.
Right there. She'll point.
She'll point him.
So it's that right there.
Right here. Right into the cul-de-sac. And there is visitor parking right here.
So that's the area in question that they're gonna build.
Yes.
Just for your,
And the amount, like I said, the capacity of the street definitely does not, it's not enough for the influx of vehicles. In order for a vehicle to go in and out, it has to go through the same access point. And like I said, the sense of safety, it's gone. It defeats the purpose of having a gated community. Also, there's a lot of people that whenever you go back home, you have to get on a line to go in. You have to be all the way on the super high trafficked, 59, 359, I'm sorry, I always get confused. I've been there
59.
yes. There's a lot of accidents that have happened because there's people, and really horrible accidents, fatal accidents, because there's people waiting to come in. There's a line. Like I have to wait sometimes 15, 20 minutes to get to my place. So I really ask for you to consider this because it's definitely been an issue for the past 3.5 years. Like I said, there's a lot of kids, and unfortunately, children don't play anymore on the street. There is very poor lighting, and it's very unfortunate. It's truly unfortunate. The houses are really close as it is. You cannot take your trash can to the curb on Sunday night for Monday pickup because it's gonna block your neighbor. Like that's how close they are. And my neighbor, it's the gentleman. He can tell you how many times I woke him up at 6:30 in the morning. Or how many times he has asked me, he has texted me, I'm so sorry, but I cannot make it. Can you move your car just a tiny bit? And like I said, it's very unfortunate. We're like a close community. We have really good relationships with our neighbors. We've never had an issue. And this is definitely causing some type of animosity. You know, Christmases and not even Christmases, on a regular daily basis, it's an issue. So all I'm asking is for consideration. The noise, like I said, it's super loud. People speeding too. We were actually recommending a speed bump at some point on Monte Vista. And so yes, that's pretty much all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Anybody else who wishes to speak against?
Good evening. I'm Lilian Padilla. I'm also a resident on Monte Vista Drive. My husband has been living on Monte Vista Drive for about 2 years. I just recently moved from Brownsville, Texas. And so it has been a shock for me as to the size of the residential area, the subdivisions. The subdivisions to me here in Laredo seem smaller than Laredo than in Brownsville, Texas. And so I am fortunate to live in one of the big lots. On Monte Vista Drive, I live on the one that's right above the DR, if I'm not mistaken, 5420. And when we had our HOA meeting, I did ask for permission to make a driveway, an extra driveway, because I do have this space. And the HOA didn't get back to me. My husband works in law enforcement. He got hurt in work. He hasn't been on the line for about a year and a half. He just recently had surgery, and we've had to change our way of parking because we can't park both of our vehicles. We do have a garage. Most of our homes have a garage, but our vehicles don't fit unless it's a small vehicle. I am an art teacher. I have supplies. That is my extra room. My husband has given me the garage for my supplies. And I have my neighbor as well. She lives behind on Los Rose Hills, and I've asked her if I can go park my car at her garage because she has more space. Most of my neighbors on this side towards the entrance are law enforcement as well, and they have big vehicles. Most of our residents as well have more than 2 people that drive vehicles. And so it is very hard for us, just like she said, mentioned before, having to tell our neighbor, can you move your car just a little bit? And you will see this. I'll invite you guys to go through our street at this time and see how packed it is, or on the weekend. Most of law enforcement work in the morning. They go away by 5, 4 o'clock, 6 in the morning. I leave my home by 7, and I start to see it clear. But when I get back, it's packed as well. So I have to plan it with my husband. And I don't think that we should have more residentials built. I think an extra parking lot would be better. We have in the front, and I've counted, about 12 spaces. That's at the beginning. In the back, there's about 8 left. And like my neighbor mentioned before, most of them park on the circle. If I want to have somebody over, I need to let them know, hey, come between this time so you can park on my parking spot, and we have enough space. Or I have to go somewhere else. And it's unfortunate that I can't invite my family over from out of town to come spend a weekend with me because there's no parking. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Yes, good evening. My name is Adel Lombera, and I'm also a resident of Montevista Drive. I would ask that you please consider not allowing this bill to go forward. Parking is a big issue for all of us. Could you please go back to the picture, to the actual, if you see this image right here, just imagine that all along the street. It's a very narrow street. So if you have people parking on both ends of the street, you need to wait until the entire street is cleared out in order to pull out of your own property. And even going into and out of our driveways, it's an issue. Like my neighbor mentioned, we're always, having to bother each other and ask, hey, can you move your car just a little bit forward? Or, hey, I'm sorry, there's nowhere else to park. I'm blocking your driveway. If you need, if you need to go out somewhere, just call me and I'll come out and I'll move it. And I believe that adding 4 more homes was only going to add another 8 to 12 vehicles to our street, which will cause an even bigger problem. Better use of this space would be for additional parking for all of the current residents as opposed to bringing in anyone else. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else have anything different to add? Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you everyone for allowing me to be here. So I agree with their comments, but you've heard a lot about the parking issues. Some of the other issues though are, in addition to what you're seeing here and what's been mentioned about people parking along these reserved spots, the issue is too, the road is so small and there's not enough spaces that when you're actually driving down the street, there's no way that 2 cars can actually go at any given time. So it's almost a game of musical chairs. And sometimes when people are pulling out of their driveway, you can't see them until you're right at them. And I can't tell you how many times I've almost gotten in a car accident on our street because of that. But also too, because the driveways are so small and like people have mentioned, our cars don't fit, people tend to park blocking the sidewalk. And so walking my dog, I can't tell you how many times my tiny little fur baby has almost been hit and run over by cars because people are speeding, we move out into the road, we can't see them, they almost hit us, it's a problem. And so, I think I agree with what everyone else has said, but also really take a look at 10 o'clock at night, go by the neighborhood and see. Montevista Drive is packed, and sometimes people are double parking, and I hate to say this, but people even park in front of the fire hydrants, which is a safety hazard, because there's just no space on this road. So I ask that you strongly, strongly oppose this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we've had enough comments. What are the wishes of the commission? This is item M. Special use.
I'd like to close the public hearing and go with, well, go against staff's recommendation and go ahead and allow the 4 lots
And the variances.
and the variances.
All right,
I'll second that
we
motion.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Show of hands, okay. 3, 4. All right, those against? Show of hands. 1, 2, motion carries. Thank you.
Again,
That's
this is just a recommendation to council.
Next item. Preliminary consideration of the following preliminary plats and preliminary replats. Preliminary consideration of the replat of Lot 3 and 4, Block 1751 Eastern Division into Lots 3A, 3B, 3C, Block 1751 Eastern Division and the granting of a variance to reduce the corner side setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. All right?
Yes,
This time I would like to recuse myself.
All right,
I'll be outside.
okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Provitex Investments Group LLC. Engineer is Mr. Victor J. Linares and Francisco Ramos. The proposed use is multifamily residential, and the zoning for this 3-lot development is R2. This is the location view. Aerial view. Street view. The plat of the proposed plat, replat. Comments from planning. And the proposed motion.
All right. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Jonathan Vasquez Garcia from Arriba SCC. We concur with staff's comments and here for any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions? No? Thank you. What are the wishes of the commission? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against? Motion carries. Would somebody please go get Mr. Dominguez? Next item is preliminary consideration of the plat of Lot 28, Block 3, Old Milwaukee Subdivision. The intent is residential.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Jose M. Aguilar and Maria Guillermina Aguilar. Engineer is TEC or Tech Engineers and Consultants. Proposed use is residential. The zoning for this 1-lot development is not applicable as this tract is located outside the city limits but within the city of Laredo extraterritorial jurisdiction. Location view. Area view. Street view. Proposed plat. Comment from planning. And the proposed motion.
Okay? Yes, sir?
Good evening. Rodolfo Torres from Tech Engineers, and we concur with the comments.
With the comments?
Yes.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Torres? No? Thank you, Mr. Torres.
Thank you.
All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to go with staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Next item, preliminary consideration of the plat of Lot 31, Block 3, Old Milwaukee Subdivision. The intent is residential.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, applicant is Librado Aizaguirre and Dulce A. Perez Martinez, engineer, TEC Engineers and Consultants. Proposed use is residential, and the zoning is, for this 1-lot development is NA, as this tract is located outside the city limits, but within the ETJ. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. The proposed plat. Comments from planning. And the proposed motion.
All right. Yes, sir?
Rodolfo Torres again from Tech Engineers, and we concur with the comments. Yeah,
All right.
some
before they close the library.
Don't worry, Orlando has a key.
We're locked in.
Motion to approve subject to staff comments.
We have a
Second.
motion, do we have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Item number 8, reconsideration of the following preliminary plats and preliminary replats. Preliminary reconsideration of the replat of Lot 19, 20, and 21, Block 6, Inter-America Distribution Park, Phase 4, and 20.09 unplatted acres into Lot 19A, Block 6, Inter-America Distribution Park, Phase 4. The intent is industrial or transportation. The purpose of this reconsideration is to add additional acreage.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Applicant is Franson Muller, engineer is civil engineering consultants. Proposed use is industrial. The zoning for this one lot development is M1. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. The plat and the proposed replat. Comments from planning. And the proposed motion.
All right. All right, is anybody here that concurs with the comments from planning?
Good evening, members of the commission staff. Edward Ochoa with CEC KCI, and we concur with the comments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
What are the wishes of the commission?
Approve subject to staff comments.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Next item is the final consideration of the replat of Block 8, Oak Ridge Subdivision into Block 8, Lots 1 through 9, and Block 9, Lots 1 through 14, Ironwood Estates. The intent is single-family residential.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Kalei Group Ltd. Engineers Victor Linares and Francisco Ramos. Proposed use is single-family residential. The zoning for this 22-lot development is R1. Aerial view. Location view, aerial view. Street view. The plat and the proposed replat. And the proposed motion.
All right. All right, what are the wishes of the commission? Motion to approve, do we have a second? And a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion and second? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries, thank you all very much.
You said it, that's it.